All right, what's going on, guys? Making a quick video here. First off, it's a new trade idea for Tron, but I want to be able to fully explain it. I also want to have everyone on the same page going into the end of the week of what's been an absolutely insane week. And it seems like for the first time, the market and Twitter and everyone is kind of split on whether or not it makes sense to just fully take profit on some of the alts that have ran and stop trying to continue to run with the trend versus continuing to want to be in alts. And before I talk about that really quick, my view on alts in general is I'm just still not very interested in any Binance or mid-cap alts. As long as Bitcoin, I've mentioned this a few times, as long as Bitcoin is being this volatile, the moves are this violent, it's having, 15, 10% high to low candles, I just don't expect Binance and mid-cap alts to do well. And even if they were doing well, I don't think they'd be moving as much as the larger caps. And that's just been true on major Bitcoin pushes in the past. It's been true on this Bitcoin push. So until Bitcoin can either slow down or we start to see maybe major alts or large alts slow down, I'm primarily going to be focused on, the Tron, the ETH, EOS, ADA, Bitcoin Cash, things like that. Quick recap of how these plays have gone. Beginning of the week, my two that did not work out, you guys know ETH, I wanted to be in 0.034. I thought it was the cheapest alt, and that just did not make sense, right? It got stopped out. That nasty day that Bitcoin had our wick, right? I got stopped out in this play. I wanted to run it up here, and I still think ETH could recover, but for right now, it's just being really weak. It's not getting any volume either, so I'm not too interested in ETH. So that one was like a -3, -5%. Counting all the fees and whatnot, not the best play. The other play that I liked to begin the week was possibly Tron, right, along this support. And the reason that this is a new idea, really quick before I explain the idea, right, I like Tron because I thought it was the cheapest. It was really the only major alt that was still sitting along kind of a horizontal support. It hadn't really pumped. If you think about Bitcoin Cash, EOS, right, all these other coins have kind of gone on to run right after that, Bitcoin Cash especially, right after that Bitcoin shock at the beginning of the week. And Tron broke. We covered this in the stream yesterday, right? It was down 2 or 3%. I just wasn't seeing volume step in, so I wanted to jump out. Overnight, we just had like a 7 or 10% down move, and I now think this is really interesting, and I'll talk about why. I'm buying Tron. I just bought Tron, and I'll probably buy more even right after this little video is done. The reason being, so the other two plays of the week, you guys know Tron and ETH for me did not work out, right? ADA was the nice 30, 40% runner up to 1900. I think that trade is closed for me. I went over why in the video yesterday. And then Bitcoin Cash. This has been by far my favorite major play because it gave us the full 60%, right? Full 60, 65%, and that one smashed. I still have some Bitcoin Cash on. I want to run it a little bit higher. I'm really looking for kind of 0.09, but this was the original target, right? One target, two target. It's just like the ADA trade. I think the original trade is done. I just think it can probably go higher. So I have a small position left on Bitcoin Cash. So my two plays now that I'm focused on, I really like EOS, and I covered this in yesterday's stream. It's broken down in the Discord. I really like EOS. And then the new idea that I want to cover today, as I've taken profits on ADA and taken a good chunk of profits on Bitcoin Cash, right? I'm focused on, if I'm still interested in majors, what majors do I think can perform well? And I like EOS for the reasons I talked about in the stream yesterday. The reason I like Tron now, right, originally it was at this kind of support, and that's where I liked it beginning of the week. This support broke. I wanted to bail yesterday, right? So now I'm viewing it like this. This level that I have outlined, 501, 504, this isn't a random level. This is where the year of 2019 opened, right? That's the opening price of the year. So if you can think of a yearly candle, right? I think I did this drawing a few months ago, kind of thinking of it like this, right? Imagine if this is the yearly candle, and the yearly candle you think is going to be green, right? Maybe you're thinking out 3-4 months in the future, whatever it is, or you think that alts are going to be able to have at least one alt cycle, or at least there's going to be a nice kind of sustained push for alts, or whatever you think, right? If this is the yearly open, and this is a green yearly, you have to think this is kind of where that is, right? That'd be the yearly open if this year turns out to be green, right? It's the way that we thought about Bitcoin. If you want to go back to Bitcoin at 3,700, right? When we were thinking about the range well before this pop, right? Beginning of the month for for Bitcoin, the reason why this resistance support flip was so attractive and so interesting, and as long as dailies were closing above, I think it made sense for buys, is because now the Bitcoin yearly probably looks something like this. I know we're only 4 months into it, but you can imagine as it's developing, right? Where are you, if you're long and if you're trying to buy Bitcoin and you want to maximize kind of have a nice expected value of where your buys are, have a nice risk reward, however you want to think of it, right? This is the yearly open, right? If this year turns out to be a green year after the longest bear market in Bitcoin's history, right? So that is conceptually, just from a big picture, that's kind of why I like to use yearly opens. There's a couple price action guys that use them in a ton of different ways. I think they're all really helpful. I just haven't dove that far in. I think just from a psychological perspective, I think that kind of gives you a good picture. So past that, past this being a nice support, it's also the yearly open, right? If you guys remember back in February, March, right, when Tron got our double top, originally I just wanted it to fall back in line with a lot of the other majors, and the two levels that I thought made sense were in the 430 or the 510 set, right? So 510 is reached. That's the one I'm focused on right now. And it also kind of sets up a nice little range, right? So this level, beginning of the week, the level that I'm not playing right now, but the level that I had an idea at the beginning of the week, right? That is kind of mid-range. If you think of this as the bottom of the range, and I'm only bringing up a range because Bitcoin's been in one so long that I think everyone's familiar with them. Right? This is the top of the range. Right? It's about a 20% range up to those swing highs at the top, and then this mid-range is about 10%, right? 10% on both sides. So as long as price continues to it's really the exact same play as the Bitcoin at 3,700, right? As long as price continues to close above this 506, 504, and it got tapped overnight, right? As long as price continues to close above that, generally I want to be long or buying Tron here. And a really, a quick trade would be just aiming for mid-range, right? A little quick 10% swing, or 6% now that it's moved up slightly. Or top of the range would be kind of that bigger target for a little 20% swing. And if I look at EOS, I look at ADA, and I look at Bitcoin Cash, if any of kind of the major alts continue, most of them kind of have a 20 or 25% room to run anyways. So I think the risk reward here is just as attractive, if not more, than some of the other majors. I like that it's on the yearly open. I also just really like the look of this range. And it's been a very, very good 2 or 3 months for major alt swings, especially with the ADA and Bitcoin Cash play, just because I covered those so much and talked about kind of the thought process so much, and I think a lot of you guys understood it and played those with me. I mentioned this yesterday, just because majors are doing well or just because the trend is up for Bitcoin and things are exciting, I do want to continue to be very diligent, aware, and focused on managing risk and understanding the trend could change. Right? Alts and major alts could all, start finding new lows. I think it's less likely, but I'm just bringing it up because, whether you're using me for research or you're in your own trading ideas, it's very easy when, you have a couple smashing winners to just kind of get in like autopilot mode and then start dialing up risk. And that's a scary place to be, right? Generally, you want to be taking more risk based on your conviction on the idea or kind of if you think there's a higher expectancy or whatever it is. So this is the play for Tron. I like buying anywhere along this support, right? If you think about the daily open right now, I really think 524 is probably the best price you're going to get. I'm long from about 540 on futures, 528 from spot. We're at 532 right now, so still within 4 sats. I just like the range. I like the yearly open. If price closes below here, right, I'm willing to give myself another, 4 or 5% again, and aiming for kind of that 20% swing, right? So a nice little 3-to-1, 4-to-1 risk reward, if you want a general idea of how I'm mapping it up, right? And that's kind of the smallest target that I'd be willing to give, looking at a daily close here below. That's what would invalidate this. That's kind of the first target. Obviously for EOS, for Bitcoin Cash, and for ADA, you guys remember, depending on how price action moves up here, depending on what the trend is for Bitcoin at that time, if it's just flying and I think it's going to confirm above, then I actually do start looking at maybe swing highs higher. But for right now, the 20% little swing, I like. I still think it's a large cap in a majors market. I know that's not as exciting for some of you guys, and you really just want to say, let's look at new Binance coins. I just don't think there's a lot of opportunity in Binance coins yet. I think once the majors stop moving and Bitcoin can stop moving, I think the opportunity shifts there, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun there in April. But for right now, guys, for today and probably for tomorrow and the rest of the week, I still think it's going to be a large cap major driven market. Right, so wrapping up thoughts, this is my play. As long as yearly open holds, I like it. I'm not telling you to trade this. It's not advice. I'm just passing on my research. This is where I'm aiming. And this and the EOS play are kind of my two favorite majors right now. Whenever the EOS play yesterday in the stream. So this and EOS I like. I also like Bitcoin Cash, but Bitcoin Cash is the one that I'm probably not a buyer here. It's to me, we caught the move. Buying now is being greedy, right? We already caught a 60% swing. Adding on to that, it just feels a little bit reckless. Right? I'm keeping some on, but I definitely would not be a buyer. So EOS, Tron are my plays now as I'm still trying to play the majors. XRP and ETH just don't interest me, even though I think they're priced very well. They're just so weak. I mean, they're literally so weak that I'm not going to try to catch those. Right? That's all I got, guys. I'm still going live for the stream later today at normal time, actually early time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'll see you guys then. If you're new to the group, welcome. It's been a hectic week. It's been a fun week, and I look forward to working with everyone, getting to know everyone. For everyone else, cheers. Let's have a good rest of the week, guys.